The more I got to prove I'm not a robot, the more I think I'm lying.
Am I a robot?
I don't have feelings. I eat my meals like just fucking gulp them down. I don't enjoy anything. I'm not happy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I am a toaster. I'm a toaster oven of a person.
Oh, shit.
You are by 1 o'clock every Sunday and Wednesday.
A toasted oven. Howdy, boys.
I'm back in the dark cave. I just noticed that it's dark in here. God damn it.
That fits your. It's very on brand for you.
Yeah.
Being lurking in a dark den of some sort.
I liked the spot that I had there in the house on the couch,
Yeah.
but I've got, what do you call it in the house? Not vermin, children are in my house.
Herman was right.
Yeah, you said it right.
Yeah, you can spray for those.
Casseron.
Yeah, castor on their ass.
Yeah. Spraying for those is how they got started.
Yeah.
I was burned. I don't want your fucking children in somebody's lawn.
That's one way to send a message.
The kids need to learn that withdrawal method don't work unless it's too many tragedies.
Andy, check this out. I got a package in the mail at the Funhouse a couple of days ago. Guy works at a smoke shop in Tucson. Sent me some pipes. Look at this motherfucker.
Oh man!
Oh my God! Look at that.
You got to get Tanya Lee when you smoke that. Run behind you, the little midget lady.
What, like he's
I
the
think
Pied Piper?
It makes sense that he's like a character in The Hobbit in his cave broadcasting it.
Oh, that's
Right? Yeah. I'm on the. I feel like a MASH unit because I set up here originally about, I don't know, a while ago. I had shit set up and then it started to rain and I'm like fucking cursing the weather. Okay, I'll set up down in the other spot and I got it all set up, all my drinks and all the dumb shit. And then about 15 minutes ago, I hear a guy start grinding with a weed eater. And I get up to see what's going on, kick over a kombucha drink all over my shit. And I'm mopping that up. And then I'm fucking losing it because it's like, God damn it, the fucking 1 hour that I don't need fucking noise. And this guy's got his weed eater going and it looks like he's in for the long haul. So I get the mess cleaned up and I march up here. And it looks like they'll probably be using that thing back here too. So I may be running into a third location. I may go into the Jehovah Witness meeting and fucking.
man.
We may Zoom with them.
Is there any chance, Andy, that you could relocate to somewhere closer to the router?
Well, that's what I got I got a thing that'll help with that,
An
but
extender?
but it takes some fucking plug in and
Yeah.
log into
Usually
your
when
other.
you get a new piece of equipment, you got to take it out of the box.
Damn electronics need electricity and shit.
If it was a dick extender, it would just be something you put on your dick and it extends it. I wouldn't have to log on to a third piece of equipment and have that connect with the other piece of equipment so that I can fucking talk out here. But it wasn't going to be a problem up until Weed Eater is now. I don't hear a fucking not a sound out of them. It's like a fucking Truman Show, you know?
What did you think a Wi-Fi extender? Did you think it was just going to be a big stick that comes out of your window holding the Wi-Fi closer to you?
You put it on one end and hold it out the window.
Well, if you had like something for your TV, like an antenna, you just put it on your TV and
Yep, you're right.
So
True.
this I plug in and it's like, okay, my Wi-Fi should be extended. No, not until it interfaces with my wife and her computer and then
Not your wife, your Wi-Fi. Not
Well-
your wife, your Wi-Fi.
I don't know
You
how
gotta
to do
keep reading, dude.
You got to
I-
read the whole instructions, man. The
Andy's
whole
wife.
word.
And
I don't-
Wi-Fi is called my wife.
I'm not I'm not even friends with the Wi-Fi code. I mean, I don't know the router info. Like those router, I need to have a router meet and greet, and then it'll be cool. But as long as it don't start raining and the weed eater stays where it is, I should be good. Yeah, I did discover I got poison ivy or poison oak from my visit out to the river.
Wi-Fi, please.
Yeah. What's that?
Erickson's cutting out now.
Oh, see? Who needs a router now?
Easy, cocky.
Yeah,
We just started.
I know. I got 2 Shayleys. 2 Shayleys. I need 1. There we go. That's better math. It's like the brothers. Didn't you guys just have a birthday?
March 5th. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
2 months ago, but yeah, thanks.
The twins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Andy, you were talking about poison oak and the being out at the river. That's why I lost.
Or poison ivy. First of all, Andy, before you go to the story, what's the difference between the two, and which would you rather have?
Whatever I got is my least favorite. I don't have it bad. I got it like a touch on my wrist, and then I got a few like on my ass, like the beginning of my ass. Like it could be worse. Like I could have put that tainted, oiled finger.
Do you lay down to nature, Jack, or do you just stand there and do it? I always just kind of pictured you standing there, but.
Well, surveying his land.
Yeah.
All that he sees.
I don't. This was just from carrying rock because I only did the.
Clearly.
I worked around the. At first, I felt like the religion was challenging me, but now I realize it was just a distraction to keep me, keep me there listening to that bullshit, and I needed to carry rock. So, yeah, upon carrying the rock, and then I got home and apparently touched my ass. And then I glanced around my balls. Just came up. Thank goodness. It's right now. It's like having the flu. Well, it could be much worse. So I got knowing the spots that I have it. If I would have had it on my hand, it would be be all over my face because I'm not doing that. I'm still touching my face a lot because I get emotional.
Are you using the calamine lotion?
I'm not really doing. I got some at Rite Aid because I forgot. I got out and I was like, I forgot to check what that itch was. Like, and then I was like, I saw it on my wrist. So, and then I got got home with calamine and I was reminded that we have that. It's like, I know, but I was out and about in my ass. I don't really get into detail, but if there's blisters on my ass, it's going to be a long week.
If there's one thing we don't want you to do on your podcast, Andy, is go into detail. let's just cut to the chase, right?
Yeah. So so I'm not sweating. That's the main thing.
Shit.
I'm not going to that river spot anymore. I feel like I'm not gonna get that. Fuck that eagle. That eagle could have come down. That drumstick was a fair offering. Like, good luck. Good luck fishing. Hope it works out for you. But if not, I bet you'll come back and eat that raw chicken later.
Someone in the YouTube comments from last week's Issues with Andy number 45 said that they used to trade eagle feathers for. They used to trade with the Indians, and what they would do. Let me pull it up. I gotta read what he said. It's funny.
You gotta be
rocks.
Is somebody commenting on our YouTube feed in 1872?
It looks like it.
It's a trade with the Indians.
Yeah. Okay. Here's what it's rocks.
For beaver pelts.
Rocks Androful says use. He's suggesting that Andy use salmon next time that he's trying to bait that endangered species. Use salmon next time. A few days on the ripe side. I used to trade eagle feathers for salmon at Bridge of the Gods. Illegal but gratifying. So
that's where you want to do it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna chew shady dealings with the Indians. You want to bring it to the bridge of the gods.
Is that a fireworks stand out on the side of the road?
No,
or-
that's a big bridge that goes across, goes into Washington, Oregon, that connects Oregon to Washington.
All right.
It's part of the Pacific Coast Trail. I think it ends there, maybe.
Yeah.
That is the
Would
Pacific
that be
Ocean.
over the Columbia River?
Yeah, but I do get fireworks and salmon down there, so it'd be an easy situation.
One-stop shopping.
Yeah, I don't know with the mask and all, social distancing from a Indian tribe that's been socially distanced from white people since we got here, It's like, over there. How about over there? Nah.
I've been reading that Indians are getting hit hard. Be careful there, Andy, with your reservation business.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course they're getting hit hard there. It's an impoverished community, and they're fucked.
I live in an impoverished community too, and they're fucking laying people off at the hospital. There's nobody even going to the hospital for anything here anymore.
Yeah, everyone's afraid to.
Yeah,
Plus everything's canceled.
That's right. There's no elective surgeries, and people don't have to go in for bullshit to get out of work because they're already out of work for some bullshit.
They don't need those doctor's notes or from Epstein's mother.
Yeah.
Found
You're
out,
giving your wife a note from hey, honey, I got to go to the doctor. I got a note right here. I'll be back in 6 hours.
Turns out nobody really trusted the medicine there at all. They just used it for the note. Is it affecting his canny taking it easy, or is he still full on canny? Because it seems like there's a guy that might end up in an emergency room situation.
Talk about Castle Rock?
Yeah.
I don't know what Castle Rock's up to.
I saw him yesterday. He looked great.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he was on the Twitch stream last night chatting with us, so I know he's alive. Unless his wife is just trying to make it look like he's alive.
Yeah.
Like they're doing to Kim Jong-un?
Yeah.
Weekend with Kenny.
Yeah. I think they're going to find a lot of missing people when this thing ends. I don't know where anybody went. I did dig a hole, that's true. But, you could dig a really deep hole, and just keep it going like fucking El Chapo or something. Build a fucking
tunnel out.
Tunnel? Do you mean a tunnel or a hole?
You could dig a hole and then tunnel and then dig another hole and then another like a fucking moles.
What I like about Arizona, we went out shooting last week and found a big cave right there next to where we were shooting. You don't even have to dig a hole; you just find one.
Yeah, that's what. Remember in the pigs in Death Valley, but there was the pig farmer. Oh, the first year there was like the guy in charge of the pigs, and there was somebody.
The chief of police.
Well, basically, in Death Valley,
Sorry, that was tough.
In Death Valley at Panamint Springs, the guy in charge of the pig is kind of the
de facto sheriff.
Yeah.
But he mentioned, he goes, I don't even think it was involving any of our group, but it was about murdering somebody. And he said, people disappear out here in Death Valley all the time. Mm-hmm. And he was like he had the edge to him that he wasn't really joking around about it. He was like, "Fucking get rid." I think it was
kind of a warning.
Yeah,
kind of a
why
warning.
Those pigs are so fat.
I say I'm not saying pigs eat people, but I'm not saying they don't.
It'd be tough not to feed a couple of Europeans to a pig if you live there. I love the pig so much, and these people just keep showing up.
If you're in Death Valley and some Europeans come rolling in and an accident happens, it's just easier to just feed them to the pigs than it is to call whatever the closest local constable. And they got to come all the way out, and then you've got to protect the scene, and there's a lot of things.
$2 a gallon.
Over the fence to the pigs, and in half an hour, these Europeans never even stopped here.
Remember there was that year there was a big sandstorm, and
every year.
Yeah, well, there was it was anyway. I was in the restaurant, and there was like the the lady was busy or something. And she was like, I'll get, she kept putting us off. And then she finally goes, I'm sorry, I've been distracted. There was an accident up the road. And I go, well, okay. I said something that pissed her off, I forget what
No
it was.
way.
Yeah. And then I was like, she wasn't going to get me my food in a timely manner. So I fucking, I left, It's like, you
She
got
tell
better
you
shit.
that?
Well, she snapped at me and gave me a big lecture, and I was like, you're ruining my buzz here. And
Listen, lady, I'm wasted. All right.
but she said there's an accident up the road, and there's this big sandstorm sideways blowing. It's like fucking pelting you with gravel. And I was like, I forget who drove, but I was like, man, there's some tourists out there that need help, and I was the first responder. I showed up with on the scene. I showed up on the scene of the accident and tried to help out. It was a motorcycle and a van collision, and the motorcyclist was a European guy. He was shaken up, and then there was a Korean family in a rented van. And I tried to help, but nobody was speaking anything familiar with me. And about that time, I think the mushrooms started kicking in, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was sitting in the van with the injured European and the Korean family, and it was just chaos. So after doing all I could, I got back out into the sandstorm and got back into the vehicle that delivered me and left.
I love that Andy, the mushrooms kick in and he's like, did I cause this? What the fuck? Let's get out of here.
Well, it was
It goes away.
I'm wondering if Andy now is the inspiration for Henry Phillips' new YouTube thing with the highwayman. I'm here to help.
That's definitely an episode, because I was like,
but I'm here.
I don't know what I brought to the table other than, I took a couple of pictures, but I didn't even get one of the I didn't get one of the people. I just took one of the back of the vehicle and the motorcycle, or I forget, but it was chaos out there, and and I wished them luck in English. Something I carry with me every time I go to Death Valley, just to be safe.
The local language.
At least a working knowledge of the locals speak, because you can disappear out there. People disappear out there all the time.
There's a Korean family with a really interesting story about their time driving through Death Valley.
Yeah.
There was no accident.
Yeah.
They were just pulled
no,
over.
not at all.
Like, you guys want to get some lunch? Anybody want to get lunch? I don't think they're going to serve me at the restaurant.
As I remember Panamint, through much of it, I think it was the first one, Andy had a giant super soaker water gun. And as people pulled up and pulled in to Panamint from long miles and hours in the heat and road of Death Valley, he would pop up from behind the hedges and blast everyone as if they'd stepped into a fucking Vietnamese ambush. So it's possible that there was no accident and he never left the grounds, and these people had just arrived.
I didn't do a lot of thinking in those days about post-traumatic stress. Mine was kind of latent at the time. But man, when it kicks in, sure, yeah, I could see where a guy with a super soaker might scare somebody, or maybe fondly hands.
Listen, a shirtless, heavily tripping man with a bandana tied around his fucking head who pops up from behind the bushes with a fucking super soaker and blasts you as you pull into the place. Yeah, well, that could be a little.
At least that would have been useful at the accident. I could have helped treat the victim. As it were, I didn't have Band-Aid.
Shoot fucking mercurochrome at him?
Yeah, I guess I don't even know why I went out there. I guess I was just hoping to see the accident. And I got right there, and it was like, well, I see it now. It's like, not much to see here.
That's exactly why you went there.
I did the equivalent of slowing down to take a look in Death Valley, where you get out and enter the vehicle.
The Death Valley Gapers block.
I was rubbernecking. Like shit, man. You better get these kids something to eat. They look pretty shaken up.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah, that guy stopped weed eating about the time I got up here.
Good. He understands what's going on. Pretty much everybody knows our schedule by now, you know.
Well, it started raining. He probably decided to call it a day, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I was like, I didn't need the kombucha situation. And then, the speaker was like, I paused the song and then I was like, and then this guy started this shit and I go, oh, what's this shit? And I got up to look at that and I somehow swung my left leg in a David Lee Roth karate kick into my speaker. and then when I realized I kicked the speaker over, I pulled my leg back in reflex and kicked over the kombucha.
Yeah, David Lee Roth used to do that with both the Van Halen brothers.
Yeah.
You remember that song, Kick Over My Kombucha?
He threw fake karate kicks and that guy drank fake Jack Daniels.
Yeah, man.
The only one who was really into it was Eddie.
It turns out.
Yeah. Eddie was giving his balls to it.
When I was living in Seattle, I did I volunteered for Bumbershoot, and I had a job just volunteering, doing all of the backline rider stuff that went backstage to all the venues. I mean, Bumbershoot is a big 4-day weekend thing, and every artist has a list. It's called a rider. It's a list of the things that's supposed to be back there: food, booze, and towels and stuff. Right?
Celery.
And it was a Sunday, and David Lee Roth was performing in the Memorial Stadium, the big outdoor venue out there. Yeah. And they insisted on a bottle of Jack Daniels, but they didn't have it in the rider. It was like, we forgot to add it, and he uses it for the show. And so Seattle at the time had the liquor was sold by the state. So they didn't give a shit about selling liquor. They controlled the liquor. So even the bars had to buy liquor from these stores. And on Sunday, they're closed. Why sell liquor on a Sunday, right? When you don't have to, when you're not worried about it. So we had to try and find. You can't just go to a PF Chang's and go, can we have that unused bottle of Jack Daniels? So we had to scramble.
Wait, you didn't say it's for David Lee Roth.
Well, I mean, the people there, the people that run that thing, they run shows all year round. They were scrambling to find this because they had to do it legally. And then we found it. We actually got some way to do it. We got a bottle of Jack Daniels, and then because it was the last show that I had to load in for, then I got backstage and was watching the show. David Lee Roth pulls the bottle of Jack Daniels and is spraying it on everyone. He's not drinking it. It could have been anything. He was just fucking throwing it. He'd go like this and go.
Yeah.
True artist.
Yeah.
True artist.
Yeah, listen, he cares about the show. That's what's most important, Shaylee.
The integrity of the.
I did realize watching that show that I would rather watch David Lee Roth and 3 other dudes that are unknown than to watch Van Halen and Gary Sharon.
I can see that.
Yeah, I understand. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah,
David Lee Roth was the best part of Van Halen the whole time, for sure.
That was definitely punching down for a hire, that almost killed it, That was.
Well, Gary Sharon was like a singer. David Lee Roth was David Lee Roth, he's a front. That's it.
Well,
like when he said that he didn't want to spend too much time in the studio because more than 2 weeks it ruined his tan. Like he doesn't give a fuck. It's party music. So quit caring so much, Eddie.
It ate his soul up and then his cheek. Let it go, Ed. Yeah, yeah. Remember, I was on the road with Shaylee and Stanhope, and we were listening to the road manager of Van Halen's book on
yeah.
tape. And man, them guys, as a group of adults, sure cried like babies. And anytime where somebody had to stand up and be an adult, they curled up in the fetal position and cried until the problem left the room.
I think that's the best part of being like famous, and especially a famous musician, right? Like if the shit really ever gets bad, you can just go, I'm an artist, and curl up into the fetal position and wait until your handler handles it.
Yeah.
Why go through all that shit if you're not going to get to do that, you know?
Or when you get to that level, there's people that take care of all that shit.
I mean, Metallica was crying all the time too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That monster babe. Yeah. That's what you call a kid that's needs a nap and is being a brat. Little monster. That's what they were. Like, yeah. When I watched that, I was like, man, these guys are heavy. I guess, to be heavy, you got to be real close to your emotions, So I guess it makes sense. Those guys cry a lot.
To be truly heavy metal, maybe you just need to be like into like gay S&M, like Rob Halford, because he's like the most metal dude there still is to this day, and he is just like a power bottom.
Yeah, heavy metal.
Nothing more metal than somebody being mean to your butthole. I will agree with that.
Heavy metal is the same kind of masculine. The people who are like, oh, President Trump is masculine. That's the same kind of masculinity. It's like, yeah, really, if Lemmy never left that fucking, they're not exactly like badass dudes outside of the music and the lyrics, you take any country western star and back in the day, they shot somebody in the face at the bar and got away with it. These heavy metal guys, having fucking psychotic breakdowns over breaking up with a chick.
Yeah. Sure.
Oh, he's got a drug problem. We can't take it.
Yeah.
This guy shot a dude in the face and he got away with it and had a drug problem. Yeah. And he didn't shed a fucking tear.
Merle Haggard would beat the fuck out of Iron Maiden by himself in a fight,
Run for the hills is right.
hey, Andy, that Audible book we listened to was called "Running with the Devil," and it's Noel Monk, which was Van Halen's first real.
They didn't call it "Running with the Devils." Come on, man. No, that's why it didn't make a New York Times bestseller list.
It's good. It's a good listen, man.
Yeah, I don't think it would. I think books on tape for me is a better situation, but that one I enjoyed because it's like storytelling as opposed to reading words about Van Halen. It's the guy's firsthand account. It just sound it's better for me anyway. I guess I'm book stupid a little. I definitely prefer audio books.
I think yeah.
Well, you can.
You made the case.
You can multitask on audiobooks is the thing that I like, because I still like to read, but when I'm just doing something in the yard, even just cleaning up dog shit or fucking mowing the yard or whatever.
You can drive and listen to Running with the Devil.
Oh yeah, I forgot that people drive.
How do you think people get bark from A to B?
Especially right now, right?
I'm done. I got my.
Yeah, what's the update, Andy?
As soon as the weather's good, I'm gonna finish the 3 or 4 steps up to the top, and the last of the bark, and then I'm done with it.
The top meaning where the nooses are, neck level.
Yeah, well, that's midway point. Midway point. If you, that's where the hanging rope is on the wooden path that separates the top from the bottom. So, yeah, you can enjoy both as like I'm thinking like a wedding, where you have like what would be the equivalent if you're going to kill yourself, like a flower boy, some kid, a midget throwing rose petals as you, like a little Grim Reaper. I'll hire a little midget. There's one,
wear the outfit.
There's one who hand braces around on a skateboard who'd be perfect.
Wait a
Get
minute.
him out here.
If he's got hand braces, how is he going to throw out the guitar picks or whatever you're going to have thrown out at your
Well,
last mile? Or
by
whatever.
perfect, I mean it definitely needs some tweaking. And how would you skateboard on park dust? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of
I
problems.
can't wait to rewatch this episode because I came back in on I need a midget in hand braces on a skateboard. Like, all right, I'll listen later and find out.
Hey,
when we're
Brad,
done.
I can't wait to listen to it because I even heard I was here for it. I still don't know how.
I saw a
I
clip
left
of
on Van Halen and I fucking came back to a midget with hand braces on a skateboard.
Did you guys see the clip? It was a doctor. It was a news clip. I retweeted it. And a doctor comes on dressed like the Grim Reaper. It was like some and
From Florida.
Oh yeah, on the beach. Yeah.
and I
he's
met
walking
there's
around.
yeah, it was great. It was it was fun. And I was in DC when it was when Stanhope was running for president in 08, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was outside of the White House and I had a sign and I joined a protest. It was like it seemed like a bunch of kind of uptight lesbian women for peace. I was like, well, shit, man, I'm for that. And I had a sign and I was like, but the guy who took the picture was the Grim Reaper. And it's one of my favorite pictures. It's like, I asked these ladies, can I join your protest? And they said, sure. And then I flipped my sign and it said, save the rape baby.
Yeah, that's right.
Which it was kind of a futuristic call for. It's like I wasn't trying to save Trump in the future, but he's a rapist baby or whatever. But so my sign said save the rape baby, and the ladies looking at my sign just as the Grim Reaper took the picture. That the Grim Reaper, he was out there protesting the war, and it was like 100. It was 100 degrees, and he's in his Grim Reaper outfit, and I go, hey man, can I give you a water to the Grim Reaper? And he goes, no, man, the troops are over there. They don't have water. And I was like, and I started to walk. Yeah, I walked away and then I was like, no, that ain't right. And I go, Grim Reaper, Grim Reaper.
Grim Reaper.
You're like, you put your arm around him. Grim, sit down with me for a second, G. I got to talk to you about this.
I know you got final say and all, but I think you're wrong on this water thing.
Oh.
Well, I think the word canteen should mean something to you. So, but the Grim Reaper took one of my favorite photos, and I go so I go and then I go here, man, and I convince him to have a water. It was like 100 and some degrees in DC, so it's fucking humid, and he's in a Grim Reaper outfit, and he's refusing water for the troops.
What I like is a picture of yourself standing with some protesters in front of the White House holding your rape baby sign, but somebody's got a picture of that and the Grim Reaper taking a picture of that. Like, I want a picture of the Grim Reaper taking a picture of somebody.
I know. I fucked up a couple of times.
That seems like he's, like, all right, I'm not taking these motherfuckers now, but I will remember them because their number's coming up soon.
I didn't want to bother him for a photo either. It's like,
Well, when you meet celebrities, sometimes you just want to give them their space.
He seems so serious, I mean, not only was he the Grim Reaper, but he was serious about his thing where he was like up to a point where he's like refusing water. And I go, and I was like, I couldn't leave it. Like, do you got one of those things where you got, it's just more curious. It's like, that's the most important thing to me. I don't care about this protest. I'm like, how's the Grim Reaper staying hydrated? But he took the water and he didn't break character. I mean, he didn't break mask or anything, but he took the water. He turned away from me. He turned away. He did he did a slow spin, and it was like, wow, okay. And the Grim Reaper
didn't want you to see it.
He drank like a thirsty dog coming in from a walk. I could hear it. I could hear he didn't. I guess the Grim Reaper didn't want me to see what he looked like. Yeah. Because when that guy shows up in my life, I'll be like, oh. Hang on. I'm gonna go get some milk.
love that Andy asked the Grim Reaper to take the picture instead of one of the lesbians. So you got both lesbians in the picture instead of one lesbian and the Grim Reaper.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they could just be socialists. I don't know. But we were all for peace, and I was like, but at the time I was like, I found that that the rape babies were not being protected out there, and that was my sign. The others, then I had another sign that said Stanhope 08, that the Grim Reaper didn't take. I was like, when I got my camera back, I was like, wow, this looks like a picture taken by the Grim Reaper because he didn't take it. Stupid, Fucking nice job, Grim Reaper. But I do have that rape baby picture, and the lady's look on her face was like, you shouldn't be. What's that have to do with peace? She's thinking, but it's like that has everything to do with peace,
You photobombed before photobombing was a thing.
With the Grim Reaper's help.
I can't find that photo anywhere, Andy. I've seen it before online.
Yeah, I think I got it on a disc.
We'll put it up.
And then and then I looked back, and there was only one set of footprints. That's because I got bored.
Grim Reaper was carrying you.
No, that's when I decided, fuck this. Fuck it. The only one interesting here is the Grim Reaper who refuses water and has, and then it's like, if there was something more interesting, it just seemed like it wasn't a good protest. It was, quite honestly, it was boring. One time I was in DC, and there was like Netanyahu was coming to visit, and there was a big
Netanyahu.
Yeah, Benny. I call him Benji Big Box.
Alfred Netanyahu. Different guy.
Call him Benji Big Box, but
Benny and the Jews.
Yeah, Benny and the Jews showed up, and then I just was out, touristing, and then there was a bunch of people shouting at another group of people, and they were all shouting at each other in different languages I didn't understand. I'm like, well, shit. This is kind of cool. So I went and across the street. The Subway sandwich place was empty. And I got a foot-long sandwich, and I sat and ate 6 inches of it while listening to the protest. It was just kind of fun. And then I took the other 6 to go. Because I'm not a big fat fuck that has to eat a whole fucking.
Well, that just shows you're willing to do like a both sides kind of thing. You'll eat 6 inches in restaurant and 6 to go.
That's
no
what
problem.
I think. There's really nothing more fun than anger, as long as it's not directed at or affecting you in any way.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about.
As
Don Patterson, my PE teacher, lost his mind. It was hilarious. It's like the funniest shit ever.
Yeah.
Like
Shaylee, that picture.
I need to see your manager. It's like the best setup ever. Let me see your manager, and you're a couple customers back. You're like, oh, yeah.
Well, that depends. If you're in line because you're returning something, you don't want the let me see your manager person. But if they're in a different line, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like to pile on the corporation whenever it's appropriate, Late hit. That's okay. This guy's got a legitimate, That's why I invited I was going to buy coffee for homeless people who showed up at Starbucks to take a shit when they said, like, Starbucks didn't let homeless people shit at their places. And then I invited, I don't have local followers.
Well, if you follow the story, it turns out that they just didn't want black people taking a shit in their stores. It wasn't about homeless.
Yeah, I guess I should have included homeless people and the employees of the Texaco gas station. For whatever reason, I applied for work there. I was like, they had a sign, help wanted, and it was like, I filled out an application, listed my colleges, everything, 4 of them. No, Texaco, just a local Texaco. But they only it seems like they only hire brothers, and it's pretty rare. There's not a lot of black guys in South Eugene. So for there to be more than 4 employees at a place that are black. So I was like, fuck it, I got an application and I put it in. I haven't not heard a word back.
Did you mention your work on the green chain?
I I I did the best I could. There was some work apps.
I mean, you definitely. I would reference the Green Chain because they would know that. I mean, your ability to learn the job and then to not apply what you know
In the
about
summary,
the job.
of things I wrote, that as a traveling stand-up comedian, I have encountered numerous gas stations and numerous gas situations.
Yeah, I think that's probably why they didn't call you back, Andy.
You know, we're gonna go with your cousin because since we own the gas station, we're gonna hire family members. But this Andy guy, he really knows the product and the services that we used to offer that we no longer offer. He'd be really good about identifying that. No, we have no bathrooms. No, you can't use the hose. No, you can't.
I only huff when I'm drinking.
Yeah.
When I'm really drunk, sometimes I will go a little longer into the sniffing gasoline than I want to. I guess it's my white trash upbringing.
But you didn't put that on the application.
No, but I'd say like a callback would have been nice, and I did the same thing when the carnival it comes around, the fair every year, and I was like,
the carnival and asked for an application.
I filled out an application, hoping for an interview, hoping for a job, hoping for a shirt, hoping for a walk-off.
Carnival?
Yeah, I want to get a shirt one year, and I asked if I could buy a shirt, and they said no, I'd have to work there. So the next year, I went in and applied for work, and then I was like, waited eagerly by my phone.
Wait. You wanted a shirt, and they told you no, you had to work there. So your plan immediately was 365 days later, I will get this shirt.
I will get this shirt. See you in May.
You didn't say, how about instead of that, here's $5?
You could have, you could have easily gotten a shirt.
Let's just say the tooth fairy wanted your last tooth. How would he go? How would he go about it? But I mean, there must be some sort of a carnival Illuminati where they only, they only pick carnies. Like, how do you know I'm not a carny, man? I've done some shifty shit, man. I slid through a dog door to steal pills, man. I'm a carny.
They probably could have sniffed it on you. I think what happens is the people that aren't true carnies are the ones they kill.
Yeah. I think you sliding through a dog door is like very much a carnival act that should have been in the whole thing. You can see him slide through smaller and smaller dog doors.
You won't believe your eyes.
Hamster man.
He slides through the door, eats the pill, and then jumps on a wheel and just runs on it for fucking 20 minutes.
Depends on the pill. I could do an hour and a half on certain pills.
Yeah. On another one, he goes through the door and just falls asleep in sawdust.
Yeah, 20's a lot to expect out of some. I might fall asleep midway through this one.
Yeah. I thought I saw the light. Shaylee, I thought I saw the light.
Yeah, but so I thought, I'm a shoe-in for a shirt this year, and then I'll go give it a shift or two. I could never bar. I could never be a barker. I'm just not much of it. You've seen me try to sell shit.
Step right up.
Yeah.
The cost of one thin dime, a tenth of $1. Watch Andy, the human hamster, crawl through a smaller and smaller, and yet smaller dog door. And will he go to sleep? Will he see the light, or will he run on the wheel of wonder?
The human guppy. He's whatever size the entrance to the pill store is.
Like that guy in X-Files.
I'm Plato. I'm
The
Plato.
finale is just Andy finding a medicine cabinet finally after he goes through all the doors.
Okay, this was
it's just vitamin.
This was a desert party thing too. When I broke into Jim Goad's van.
Yeah.
Stanhope. We tried to get into Jim Goad's van, and Doug.
Are you sure you want to say his name?
No, not the white supremacist Jim Goad. This was No, this was Gold. Tim Gold.
Tim
Not a
Gold.
white supremacist writer at all.
I'll mark down the time so we can edit out the name.
Tim Gold, and Tim Gold parked this van, and I tried to get in, and Stanhope tried to help me get in, and then it was Death Valley, so I was all Mishka, shirtless, and we had lube because it's Death Valley, and so I lubed up, and then Stanhope was basically the balls and hips, and I was the dick, and he thrust me in Tim Gold's van. So that's breaking and entering, and attempted vehicular rape.
He was trying to get into this Jim Gold's van, and it was really more of a goof. And I think it was just like this small, it wasn't quite a wind wing like the triangle, but it was a small, like small window, not like a big roll down window, right? And we could only get it open so far. So then someone ran and got some Vaseline or some lube or something, and Andy took off his shirt and they greased him down like an orangutan that's gonna fight a military guy, right? And lifted him up and like shoved him through this little hole, and he got in. But then when he got in, it's like, now what?
Yeah.
It's like a bus.
Would have
been great if he'd have driven away.
I took a couple of joints. I took a couple of joints, and I also learned, man, I want to do that myself. Just have a full tin of joints rolled up. I mean, he had a couple left.
Instead of just stealing them.
Well, yeah, you don't break and enter for thrills, unless you're the Manson family. So I took a favorite dog toy and a couple of joints from Tim Gold's van. And if there's any white supremacists that have read any of Tim Gold's articles, fuck off, you Nazis.
It was really more about Andy willing to have us slather him with grease and push him through a window than what was on the other side of the window.
I don't know if you remember this, but I was standing, and Renee, Doug's lady wife at the time, I don't know about legal. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But anyway, she was standing there, pantyless in a dress, and I'm all greased up, and I just about accidentally raped her. Like, wait, oh shit, I can't do that or whatever. It's like shit. It's just like it's the right height and everything. You can kind of, you're out there doing drugs and having fun, naked, greased up, and you're gonna break in a van, and the next thing you know, you're accidentally raping the host's wife. Whoops. Well, don't grease me up, man.
I mean, technically, that's still breaking and entering.
Yes.
No, that would have been slipping and sliding and arguable. I could have argued her outfit and what I was wearing. It did not help either. I was not wearing anything, and my dick was full of grease.
That must have been an earlier incident because I only remember greasing up your upper half.
Well, I think it was that was after coming out. I had to lose the pants going in. I think I lost the pants going in.
I think you were hoping for that, Andy.
Maybe, but I will. I mean, I have done some creepy shit. So why wouldn't the carnies? Why couldn't I hang out and talk to the guy who put the scrambler together? I'm sure we've owned the same fat chick in Missoula. Come on, yo.
Is that what you think working at the carnival is? Just hanging out next to the guy who puts the scrambler together?
Kinda, right? Listen to some Night Ranger really loud.
You can still rock in America, dude.
Yeah. Keeping our alcohol breath away from supervisors' necks.
I just enjoy
American dream, man. Get a little grease on us. Yell at some fucking kids, some millennials or whatever. Some hipsters. I don't know what they are.
Oh, man.
Keep the alcohol breath away from the supervisor's neck. That's a job at the carnival?
The main job.
Yeah.
That's the carny code. You know, when I got the piss beat out of me by a carny, they seem to have a code about them.
Wait, what happened?
I got it's in my comedy CD of combined stories of, but I got the shit beat out of me a couple
Wait.
times.
Don't act like we should already know this
I know.
story because
Well,
it's on one of your comedy CDs. All right, dude.
It's
Come
on the one.
First of all, how do you play a CD today?
Right. Well, you got to interface.
Put it on the
with
roof.
You got to.
Son.
You got to plug it in,
Warm it
and
up.
that's got to interface with your record player, and then the two of them have got to agree to give you a code, and then there's a captcha, and it's like you got to prove you're. The more I got to prove I'm not a robot, the more I think I'm lying.
Am I a robot?
I don't have feelings. I eat my meals like just fucking gulp them down. I don't enjoy anything. I'm not happy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I am a toaster. I'm a toaster oven of a person.
Oh, shit.
You are by 1 o'clock every Sunday and Wednesday.
A toasted oven.
See, all right, so I smoke more weed than a poet, man.
So Andy, you were gonna
Yeah. Okay,
tell-
so I was,
tell us
I
about
did. I went
a scrape
this-
you had with a carny.
Yeah, this was in
Oh,
1980.
God.
This would have been the summer of 1984, right before things got real squirrely. But I was at the fair having a good time like you do. I was not boning this guy's girlfriend. As
Let me just say to start the story.
We're gonna start
Let
off
me just
right off the bat.
Let me just say I was definitely not boning the main carny's wife. That's how we start the story.
This was this was a class. A friend of mine at school was my friend Mitch was boning this guy's girlfriend, and I would run into this guy Jeff Grant. We're up until
You
that
don't need.
point.
Here's going to be the.
No,
something
this
we should
guy's
just
a
say
cunt.
for the rest.
Well, fuck.
We're
No,
46.
Jeff Grant.
We're 46.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh,
He froze up. He froze up.
Hold
The
on, Eric.
whole name and all the identifying information about the person you're telling
Wait
the
a
story
minute.
to.
Wait a minute.
Wow.
If Andy doesn't give names, we would never have fucking Sniffer Riddlin and
Yeah.
Looney.
That's true.
So-
All right,
Sorry,
you're
I'm
right.
sorry,
Yeah,
Jeff
you're right.
Grant's no dumpy McGillicuddy, but he is kind of
You're
was
right.
kind of a
You're
dumpy
right.
McGillicuddy. But so I run into this student there, and then my friends. I found out later he was boning this guy's girlfriend. Anyway, this guy assaults me, and I'm bleeding, and I go out to the car, and like what happened? I got assaulted, and I spilled my drink. So it wasn't
You
just a
left
drink.
out
We
a huge
yeah.
part of this story
Yeah.
got left
I
out.
like how he
No,
gives
I'm
specific
getting-
details, like I spilled my drink, but leaves out completely why the
Yeah.
guy started kicking
So
his
I
ass.
got
This guy-
assaulted, and
I got
my kombucha all over my speaker.
basically, yeah, same kind of thing. But this was a kombucha with a half a cup of Seagrams, basically. But I got assaulted, and then I was bleeding, and I walked to the car through the midway, and I went to the car, and I was bummed out. I got assaulted, and I didn't get a lick in or anything. And then I realized, man, I don't even have any booze anymore. So that's what got my white trash feet stomping back up the midway. And then I ran into that guy. And then I was like, hey, you fucker. And then I was like, probably something like, hey, you owe me a big cup of Seagrams, you dick. And then I tried to sucker punch him, but I guess I'd had enough of the big gulp at that point that my sucker punching the bill, like sucker punching is about the rage. And I didn't have it. I was
Well,
just
I
going
think
to.
it's about the surprise.
But wait,
Yeah,
and
telegraph.
yes,
I telegraphed it.
You also came back many minutes later. You can't sucker punch someone who kicked your ass 15
Right.
minutes ago. When you come back up to them,
You
they're
can't take a
gonna
second
know.
bite of the apple, Andy.
Right, exactly. So
You had one
So-
chance.
so I threw missed, and then I ended up on with him pounding me on top, and then a carnival guy takes over. Like I don't know how that happened. When it's like I was just down bracing myself, and then there's a carnival worker who's like, I guess whenever there's trouble in the midway and you're on meth, But this guy was all squirrely and shit, and I ended up in a real a real scrum with this guy. Jeff Grant I could take. That fucking turd. That turd could be flushed, but like fighting a carny's like fighting a spider monkey because you're not prepared for the strength of a carny.
Wait, have you never
I
seen
thought you were gonna say a whole bunch more of them will come out of the trees.
Well,
the spider monkey's not
they
that
do.
strong.
They do.
He's
Actually,
wild.
they're
He's all over.
well.
He's got the tail, too.
Carnies are like dirty cops. Whenever one of them starts beating a black guy, the rest of them pile on, and then a carny where anybody with teeth is a black guy. So to a carny, they're like fucking. They just see class, and they're like fucking beat the shit.
They call us brushers. It's the brushers. Get them.
Actually.
Well, we can call each other
my
brushers because we are brushers, but they have.
It's not right for them. The governors can't call us brushers. It's offensive.
Actually, I like brushers on drums too. So, yeah. So I kind of, I guess, it wasn't a fair fight because it was like, it's like an illegal tag out. Where did Grant go? And I took a beating, and then, yeah, I never ended up boning anybody. I just took a beating from my friend Mitch, and he died shortly after. So there's really,
Andy, in the level of street fighting, I think carny midway fighting is lower, even more base. There's no rules in street fights. There's certainly no rules. There's no honor in a midway fight with a bunch of carnival work.
A carny knows you just got to get to the next town. So whatever they have to do to win, they're going to do to win.
Yeah.
And then they're going to move on, and they're going to chalk it up as a W. You're on their turf.
Right. It's like those terrorists on 9/11. They took over the cockpit, and it's like you can't get more squirrely than that. You're on your way to Disneyland or what? It's like shit. This is getting weird. I was like, yeah, you can't summon that level of squirrely that's what a carnival worker fucking has. I guess that's what they sense when I applied for work. And, I tried not to show any teeth or anything. It's like, here's my application, kept my head down like you do, but no callback. But there's a certain sense of danger to a real carny that it's like, and now here's the sad part is they're phasing those guys out because a lot of accidents and lawsuits and shit and the days of those fucking rugged carnies that I grew up with, they're done.
Are you saying the carnies today are too soft?
They're corporate. They've gone corporate. Yeah, they don't even drink on the job. They definitely don't fuck. They try not to fuck underage girls at the fair.
They're letting algorithms set up the scrambler. Come on, man. Just start putting it together.
They're letting people
out as you go.
They're letting people with an actual wrench put the scrambler together.
Well, I fear that people who put the scrambler together are doing analytics now.
Shaley, that carnival chick behind you's creeping me the fuck out.
I know, man. That's crazy. She's looking right into your soul, dude.
Yeah. It's like standing right behind you.
She looks like John Cougar Mellencamp's sister.
Andy, have you never seen a movie from the 40s or the 50s where the carny rolls into town and like one of the guys stabs someone and he's immediately brushed off behind the tent and they have to get to the next town before the sheriff finds out that it was the carnival worker's brother?
No, that didn't come through our small town because they'd set up a thing for gay 90s. No shit, my town had a celebration called Gay 90s, and I don't know why. It was in the 70s, and they kind of discouraged that thing, locally. So there was really, but it was just an excuse for water balloon fights and parades and shit. but they have
Mhm.
they set up a carnival one year, and I was new to the whole thing or whatever, but we heckled them. We gave them shit, and a few of my friends got punched in the side of the face or whatever. It was like, so that's why.
This is just another night for the
Yeah.
carnival workers.
Well, this
No,
You
was
guys
like-
thought you were doing something
I
unique
like
or inventive.
My favorite thing is that Andy has 2 stories about getting his ass kicked by carnies.
No, back in the gay '90s, man, I
He
got
said
a lot of.
he's not
I
real
got-
good, not a good learner.
This second story didn't even really register at first until he told the first one. He's like, "Oh yeah, I also
right.
remember my friends and I got her."
I got beat up by tougher kids at gay '90s, but I never was beaten up by a carny until the fair. Otherwise, I would have. Well, in fact, my beef wasn't with the carnival worker. That was the problem. I mean, I was like, I respected those guys. I saw them in Coquille at gay '90s bashing people for having some having some laughs. As a kid, it just seemed like everybody's having a good time, but I didn't have an eye for quiet rage or seething anger, jealousy. Those things were
You
foreign
can
concepts.
spot rage now, but
Oh, sure, from across the room. But, it was action, reaction, and somebody having fun and chuckling and to being slapped down and embarrassed. Like, man, so I wasn't about to fucking, hey, Carney, we fucked with them when we were drunk, but I would never. Here's my code is I would never want a carnival worker to know I was the one fucking with them. But I did get that there was a lot of enjoyment to fucking with those guys. It's like the last round of pirates. You can still have at them. They're not quite retarded. They're simpletons with responsibility.
But if a pirate catches you fucking with him, you're gonna be walking the plank.
Yeah, kind of like Goonies. Or oh, it's fun until the Goonies catch you. And so yeah, I had respect for him. But this guy who assaulted me at the fair, he, that's why I come up with the line is like his pants smelled like caramel apples and jizz. And then this guy pissed himself. It's like, I don't know if that was I didn't notice it at first. Here's what he's punching me, and then he put me in a leg lock. That's how you're in for a fucking beating. It's like,
That's next level.
You're at the carnival. You found out you fought the crab guy.
Yeah.
Lobster boy.
Lobster boy.
You went from
never picked a fight with Lobster boy.
You went from being an assault victim who lost his drink to being an attempted assaulter to now being assaulted and then publicly, urinating like sex. That sort of seems like sexual assault, but by then I was raw to that, I'd already lost that one a couple of battles in California.
I'm
but
surprised that you didn't get. I'm surprised. You didn't get comfortable enough to turn the tables on the guy. You're like, oh, sexual assault. Oh, that's what this is.
Well, when you're in a urine based leg lock, your thoughts go to mercy and I went from thinking of carnies is lower than fucking fucking frog's dick or whatever is the lowest fucking shit to go on, sir, man. And another thing I noticed at the Midway is first aid and first responders nowhere. So again, after being pissed on and then like both eyes are bleeding now, and I don't know, it's like and then I finally caught up to my friends. Like, we were all at the car and they were looking for the same guy. They were going to beat his ass for assault. So what happened is I went back to the car, and then my friends were heading in, and they saw I got assaulted, and they went looking for the guy. And I guess my detective skills back in the day, like, I was like, waited a few minutes and go, damn it, I want a cocktail. Where's that asshole? Guy owes me a drink at least. I'll go get a drink. And yeah, so it's just like, so I can take a beating.
Yeah, we've seen your act.
Yeah. And that's what it. All right, and this is on the CD you can buy. I'll make available to sell because I have a new one coming out.
Put a
But I
link in
said
the
I could take a
comments.
beating and I can take a golden shower, but not at the same time. It tends to confuse me.
But I can't take a golden beating.
Golden beating. There you go. Yeah. Golden beating delivered by a carnival worker who probably went on to be, a fucking border patrol guard, or, I guess when they phased out tough guy carnies, it's like when they got rid of the goons in hockey, it's like you have a certain skill set, working a wrench, driving long stretches, and beating some ass.
Procuring drugs has got to be a fucking
Yeah.
a prominent job on there.
That's the job of the advanced man. He gets there early to figure out the fucking drug connect.
Yeah.
Actually, these guys, they're all, it's all linked back. There's so many people have done this before that there's always an old guy on the crew that know, oh, we're coming into Coquille. Yeah, watch it. They'll start goofing on you. So bring your brass knuckles when you go to town.
Here's what I didn't know about circus folks. When they came to Coquille, we were told to clear out our PE lockers because they'll steal everything, including your jock straps.
Wait, they let the circus into your school?
Yeah. Well, they used our locker room.
Leave that right there, Shaley.
Because you can stage a circus on a football field, I guess. But you don't want to leave your jockstrap in there because circus workers will take them. Like, wow, what? I was intrigued. I never could piece that together. It was either false but like, man, there's, I guess the circus has clowns, so that explains the jockstraps missing, You can envision a clown wearing a seventh grader's PE jockstrap over his face while he's getting into character.
He's trying to learn his audience.
Yeah. Boink, boink.
I love that there were a couple of years where they were like, why is all this stuff gone from the PE lockers?
Yeah.
They hadn't put it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, Jimmy. The carnival guy stole your jockstrap. Good story.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna do a sawdust check.
Take a lap.
Yeah.
Get back here for
Now
sawdust.
then somebody from Coquille was at the carnival in Eugene, and they said, "Wait a minute, there's Jimmy's jockstrap right there."
Hey, that's got my name on it, dude.
Let me see that. Let me see that waistband.
Yeah. They look at the engine of the scrambler, and it's like, that's not a fucking timing belt. That's fucking Jimmy's jockstrap wrapped around there.
Yeah. Years later, you're sucking off some biker at a greasy bathroom bar, and he's got on your old jockstrap. You're like, whoa, what the hell, man? I didn't know you were a circus guy.
I'm not sure that's how you would trace it back to
That seems very specific.
yeah. Also, none of the things you described had anything to do with the carnival. So it's like how that would happen to you, and then that would make you go, well, definitely the carnival. Like, it was a biker in a bar.
Yeah.
I didn't bring enough beer out here. I had enough beer. I had enough beer if I didn't have to change location. Oh well, I gotta bring some booze, real booze out here, some rum.
Well, guys, I think we hit after show Andy.
Yeah, after party Andy's, he's arrived.
Well, it got quiet.
Oh, shit.
Lobster Boy. Yeah, that's one of my favorite tragedies. Hey, you know who killed Lobster Boy? Hammerhead.
A pot of boiling water?
No, Hammerhead and a dullard accomplice in a trailer, in a single wide trailer in fuck, I forget the town in Florida, but Gibsonton, and the kid who killed him he didn't really have a skill set like a lot of them do, but they just are part of the circle. Wow, Shaylee's got little. Look at how Shaylee's.
I love that you just noticed this just now. It's been up for 10 minutes.
Yeah. So Lobster Boy got killed by Hammerhead, but his skill set was just like, man, he didn't really have the skill set. So you go, well, fuck it, let's just start hammering shit in this guy's nose.
Yeah.
And I think that became his skill set. Like shit, you don't want to get tagged with that nickname.
That's not a bad one. That's fucking tough, man.
Well,
He should have been called
Fancy
Hammerhead.
head would suck.
Hammerhead. He didn't hit shit with his head. He got a hit into his head.
When he takes the nail and taps it in. It goes into the sinus cavity.
He probably didn't want nail nostril.
Yeah.
It was,
hey, nail nose, you're on next.
Hammerhead sounds better.
But here's the and probably the sad part of this story is a guy who learned to take nails up his nose.
We're just getting to the sad part.
We know the sad part.
Yeah, but Lobster Boy, and he was a man, and he uses pinchers. He was a celebrity, so you can pinch people's pussies when you're a circus celebrity. So Lobster Boy was a man, and he'd pinch your chicks that looked like his daughter or whatever. He'd grab them by the pussy, and but Hammerhead, he didn't like the abusive nature of him, and even a kid, he took nails up the nose. Says enough, and I think he died unceremoniously in a lift and recline.
A lazy boy recliner?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, he got killed in a recliner, but it's like, I remember reading that book and going, well, they tried to describe his pinchers in the most menacing ways, but it's like,
so Lobster Boy died in a lazy boy?
Well, I think I believe, and I may be getting this detail wrong, but I believe Hammerhead used just a regular pistola. It does seem like disgraceful that they didn't take him down like the star he was with some sort of a water cannon or
That's how you murder someone in the circus. You shoot them out of the cannon.
Yeah, circus slide of death, or something. It seems like Lobster Boy deserved more, for being a guy.
I said it earlier. I mean, you drop Lobster Boy in a pot of boiling water.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would kind of go. I mean, comic book wise, that's how the villain would do it, right?
That's how Alex Jones would do it.
Yeah.
My grandpa Bill Andrus, he played the circuit. He played novelty bands. He played a trumpet and played in orchestras, and he was the front of orchestras, which led to his untimely demise. But one of his early photo albums, he played music for the Ringling Brothers, and he was like a barker playing his trumpet to get people to come in and see like the fat lady and the old Indian dude. He had all these pictures in this photo album of like circus freaks, and it was like the fat lady. You wouldn't even notice her at Walmart now.
Yeah.
The fat lady of those days wouldn't even be riding a cart.
She'd be making fun of the other fat lady.
Yeah.
She'd be a yoga instructor. She don't look anything like a fat lady of a fat lady situation. So I guess it must have been harder for a trumpeter to get people in to see it. It's like it's a chick who didn't make Rowley. Let's face it. She's corn fed. She's not everybody's biscuit, but she's not.
She's not everyone's biscuit pan.
Yeah. She's back then. The fat lady could still walk to her tent. They didn't have to erect a tent around her.
Where's the fat lady staying? Wherever she is right now.
Yeah. Now they just call it my 800-pound life, and they're not even performing. They're just pitching about diabetes.
There's been fat ladies around a long time. This sounds just like a lazy carnival to me.
Yeah.
I think they're like, oh, she mildly obese. Fuck it. Get her in here.
Well, usually the fat lady they'd couple that with the bearded lady would be fat, too.
Yeah, the bearded lady, was that just a gender,
Yeah, it's just trans.
Yeah.
Listen,
What a scam, man.
So much easier back then to make a
Oh
dime.
man, I know. Let's fucking the Unbookable should have been a circus. You know? We had Levine, who was actually about the same size as the fat lady back in the day.
She could have been the fat lady and our mermaid.
Yeah. Then it's just a whole bunch of hammerheads.
Inman's definitely the guy who we just pound nails into his fucking
Right.
face.
The incredible urine gulping frog boy. Watch him passively soak in his filthy bathwater as we pee on him and his substandard drugs.
Urine gulping frog boy. That's a good one.
Everybody else would just have to get a sign and become one of those nut kicking guys and just all compete.
Yeah.
The whole thing would be like a competition reality show.
Yeah.
Kid running in front of me. Kick me in the nuts. No, kick me in the nuts.
Oh, this is a callback, but I definitely think Sniffer Ridlin would have been a good skinny man back in the day because he was a very angular gentleman, like a fucking Ichabod Crane, big pointy nose and very skinny.
Yeah.
But he wasn't funny at all. But he did. He did.
He
make
could
that-
have been. He would have found a nice home in the Unbookables.
Well, he would have got his drug tested with his. Hey man, you got to quit sniffing so much.
Wait,
We're
wait,
going
we
to-
already. Wait, he was a bony, unfunny man. We already had Norm Wilkerson.
Well, I said bony, not fat. Yeah, he was.
I'm just
bony
kidding,
on
Norm.
film.
I love you.
Yeah, no, Norm. We've never thought of you as skinny. Well, I like that people who are familiar with the Unbookables go, now who's Norm Wilkerson?
Right?
Yeah, he's, hey, you almost forgot.
A
the
refill from Carrie Mitchell, everybody.
Hey, wow. I wish I was that lucky. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot to making a Bloody Mary. I mean, I guess with this downtime, I could learn.
They're good. You should learn.
Yeah.
I could teach you.
I know the mix and then a couple beans.
Yeah, no, yeah, a couple beans. Well, you got on the third try, you got an ingredient.
It seems like you'd automatically get tomato juice.
Right,
First
yeah.
try.
Beans. Well, it's mostly meatloaf, right? You get the meatloaf. First, you cure a meatloaf. Yeah.
The horseradish.
I'll teach you, dude.
Yeah,
We'll
I learned to cut my hair this week, so I'm open to learning.
That why you're not wearing a hat? Showing it off?
No, it's the whole weed eater kombucha situation, Oh, I had it all set up, man, It's disappointing, and I do think my wife's strategy with being a Jehovah's Witness and just casually listening and just saying something supportive sort of works. Oh, that can be real frustrating. Like, yeah.
Listen,
yeah,
that phrase
yeah.
always works.
I know.
And
It's like
that's for anybody.
it's like going, when you go to therapy or whatever, they give you things to say that will calm a person. I'm like, this motherfucker, what's this cocksucker? I mean, perfectly unreasonable arguments coming from me. There's nothing reasonable about I'm losing my shit because somebody happens to be using a weed eater at noon. 10 minutes to noon. Yeah. Like what? It's not like at 6 a.m. where you could, but like, what a motherfucker! Why is this?
No, that's when it's supposed to happen. We had that happen in Shay Curson here when who was it? Our apartment managers were doing some sort of work on their apartment, and it was 2:00 on a Saturday afternoon, and they were pounding something. They were doing something in their apartment, pounding with a hammer. And Patty, who lives in Doug's old apartment, one of them, fucking lost her shit and her boyfriend Larry started screaming at our apartment manager. It's like, shut the fuck up, what are you doing? They're like, it's literally 2:00 on a Saturday afternoon. Like, when is the time that
When is
it's
good?
acceptable to? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when is it okay to yell at a guy who's using a weed eater? Hey, you fuck off, you piece of shit. Like, whatever I said, it was inappropriate. And if I'm glad he didn't hear it, I'm glad his weed eater didn't stop. And I go, hey, you fucking faggot, like he didn't. He's just doing landscaping, man. It's
Again.
fucking middle.
Again on a Sunday at noon.
Yeah.
That's the day, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, what an and I was like ranting, oh, what an inconsiderate dick. Like, it doesn't, and I gotta, issues with Andy's recording, man.
That guy's probably like, man, this dude Andy, he's like always podcasting.
This guy's too positive. What if how do I throw this guy's positivity off? It's like hearing the Bert Kreischer podcast. You just want to rain on it a little bit. This guy's so positive. Everything's the best you've ever heard. Everything is so excellent. How about a lightning storm or a mudslide? Would that? That's what I like. I don't like people whose everything works out for them. I want to let's hear what happened when you picked the dirt out of your fucking nose and you realized you were spitting up a fucking lawn chair, that and everything around you's dead. That's the positivity I want, like your arm got bitten off by a shark and let's go,
But that's not positivity.
That's making the most of it. Positive. I'll never have that positivity that everything's worked out and I bluffed my way into success. I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. It's too late. It's already too late. That would have happened like years ago. And it ain't going to happen. I mean, I had bad articles written about me in college, but it wasn't by anything high profile. I mean, I had a headline that said "Party goers showed no respect," and it talked about.
Wait a minute. Time out. So let's reset the scene. You're in community college, and the local community college paper ran a headline, and the story was headline read.
No.
Party goer.
I ran out of financial aid help at community college, so I went to a state college, Southern Oregon State College, Southern Oregon State College. I went there to finish my degree, and so what was
the headline? What was the headline?
Okay, we had a party. And I was actually responsible. It was a basement party, and there was a lot of people. A lot of people show up that you don't know or whatever, and it turned into chaos.
You're the one who shows up that no one knows. You've told that story.
Well, this guy Greg Wacker, I think, invited a lot more people. He got kicked out of the dorm at the same time I did, so we were both like
Wacker.
Greg Wacker. No shit, he got kicked out. He's like one of them bullshit guys who's like, hey, dude, I got a gift for you. And it's like, where is it? And then he would never bring it. Like, I was like, where? Oh, it's in my house or whatever. But anyway, he got kicked out of the dorm. He invited a bunch of people to this house party. And things were ugly. I knew it was ugly in the morning when my door was closest to the main door. And a lot of people with like haphazard shoes were banging on the door. Oh, I could see where their shoes, but I could tell they were upset. People don't bang on your door with a sense of urgency and slippers, at 6 a.m, unless, there's some sort of beef or whatever. I was like, I just kind of put down, that was a little speedier than I thought kind of shit, like I just went to sleep and all these people are banging on my door. And it's like, I got nothing for you. I'm a renter here. I'm not gonna be the public face on this thing. And then there was a lawsuit by our landlord and a situation. But this guy wrote this letter, and then he sued us. Russ Dale was his name, and he wrote this letter, and it said how we showed no lack of respect, or like he made it sound like we were banging on doors outside a nursing home, like we were keeping sick babies up at night or whatever. But it's like I wanted to respond to it, and my letter didn't get responded. But I was like, as for Mr. Dale's alleged lack of breeding, I'll have him know. Mr. Dale, Kathy did receive a little something at 4 a.m.
I feel like Andy just told a book report, just did a speech about a book that he didn't read.
Yeah. He made it sound like it was a news story, but it was just a letter to the editor someone wrote about him and his stupid roommates who were fucking ruining the fucking neighborhood with their dumb basement parties.
That paper, the letters to the editor were the editorial, sir.
Well,
that hit campus like a Shakespeare. It was mainly a Shakespearean college. A lot of people there studying acting, and then
that was a tragedy.
It was a tragedy. It was a tragedy, but it was in 3 parts, and they were responding to parts 1 and 2. And it's like, hang on, man. The part 3 was us getting ejected. I was like, I'd already dealt with rejection by being kicked out of the dorms.
That's your speech. The whole reason we're all at this college is because we've all dealt with rejection.
Yeah, and I tried to calm the party down when they kicked in the doors, they kicked out the doors. I was like, ask me, I'll open a window or something. It's like people were being dicks, so I guess we did kind of lock them in. So I think a lot of the damage was people getting out. But it's like
the movie Carrie at the end.
Yeah, I can't believe my Fisher stereo made it out of that party, because like they were being dicks and they're like, fucking shut it down. We locked the door, and it's like, chaos ensued. But it was like they broke out a window, and it was like, you don't know. I'd never really rented property.
Wait, someone broke out a window to get out of your house when you locked them in?
Well, they kicked the door out.
Was it burning? And were you unaware that it was on fire at this point, or?
There was no fire, but I guess but people could have asked. They I mean, I was with Mr. Dale in that I was like, God damn it, this shit's getting out of control. I'm trying to breed this fat girl, and I just like this, It's like sometimes
you locked him in the basement and wouldn't let him out because they didn't say the magic word.
I didn't lock him in the basement. I locked the basement door. I didn't know the outside doors were shut, or it's like it just filled up. The basement filled up quickly, and I guess people, that was years before the Great White
sounds
situation.
Like a defense. This sounds like a Nuremberg defense,
Yeah.
Like, hey, I was just following orders. I don't know how all those Jews got in here and how the gas got turned on. I'm just saying. I was just at a party, man.
You locked them in. I locked the door.
I locked the door.
It was
on the other side of that door? Wasn't me.
That lock was off the hook. I mean, that party was locked in. That party was off.
That party was off the chain.
Yeah. Well, the chain was on the door coming up.
The chain was on the door.
The party was.
But here's why it was a liberal arts college. Is like, why didn't you fuck up my stereo? That was the only thing valuable in the basement, and you kicked out the door. It's like, I guess they like the music.
Kicking the stereo wouldn't get them out of the building.
Well, if I'm the
assumptions you made from the fact that your stereos arrived. Well, I guess they liked the music. That's his takeaway at the end of.
We had no complaints. No complaints.
They literally destroyed the home to get out of it. Well, the music.
Hey, the door's locked. You can't get out. Quick, everyone, kick everything in sight.
So basically, I think a lot of Mr. Dale's problems were because of the party spillover. It ended awkward. It's like, we're going to get busted. I think at that point we'd already been talked to by the police. So it's like, the only choice we have is to lock these people in the basement and hope they shut the fuck up. Because otherwise,
that's kidnapping.
Yeah.
Not if it's on a large scale. Misappropriating people.
So you had a reverse Waco.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all here. They're all volunteers to be here to keep each other here. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was a fun party, and the upstairs was a way better place to be when it all went sideways. And you
like the
know,
Titanic.
yeah, and it's like
You were
neighbors.
just below
Third-
deck is no place
Third
to
steer
be.
passenger.
I did.
Immigrants down below. A different experience.
I totally did not even. It was like I didn't understand why anybody was mad, why we had to go to court, any of it, and until years later when I owned property, and then I'm like, oh, I get it now.
You
Oh
went to
yeah,
court?
yeah. We had to pay up. We had to settle up some charges. We got some noise complaint, a $900
Those
noise complaint. Uh, but we didn't pay that much. And as far as the damages go, it's like when half of the people pay, that's good enough. I found, because they'll threaten to take you all the small claims court, and then the ones that scare easily, they do what they do. You know, that does. You know, we're all independent. You know, we're not the Beatles here. We're just all Ringos. And,
Oh my God! Wait, no, you know what? That's like fucking. There are times to be dainty, and there are times to be a pig.
Yeah.
That's fucking. Let's end it there. That was fucking absolutely beautiful. If you guys got things to plug them.
I don't even know
All
what.
right, that's it. No, nothing
Yeah,
to plug. You guys know what to do if you're still here
Hey,
at this point.
that's not the fun house.
The meat locker.
Yeah.
I do have pictures of Grandpa playing the tent, the fat lady tent. I think I even got the fat lady. I have his
You
photo.
gotta send me those.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I remember Stanhope. Do you remember Doug's bit about the circus? That was great. It was like on one of his old ones about that they never asked to have the circus folded up or whatever. It's like, you know, what do you do when you're a fucking freak? You know, it's all over for you. Walmart greeter.
Yeah.
I went to that town in Florida looking, you know, went trying to find circus freaks, but it's like, no, there's just a few shoddy, you know. I was like, I wanted to see something. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah, you
I'm
can
sure they're
blame
all-
the American with Disabilities Acts for
Well-
shutting down those sideshows. So they made a living.
Well,
That's
also-
great. It's great whenever you can say, you know, and you can blame the Americans with Disabilities Act for that one. Thank you very much. Oh, bummer.
Could you imagine a fucking old school circus rolling into a town of liberals? Wait, you're making fun of this woman?
No, they roll in.
Fine.
They roll in, and then they all get out on a ramp, and then they just roll right back out of town because the whole town's on a ramp. Oh, can't even
You know,
play there.
Could you imagine where the bar would be set on fat person at the Houston circus? It's like fattest man in Houston. We're talking 2,000 pounds. You know, I don't, Houston is like they're double what you think is possible. It's like it's got to be somebody in Houston that weighs 1,600 easy. The fattest town I've ever walked around, and you just like looking at people and like, holy shit, this can't be real, man. I didn't even know they made pantses in those sizes.
Pantses.
I let it go right by.
I'm telling you, I fucking love you guys so much.
Ignorance is half of it.
It's also
Bliss,
the other half.
bliss is the other half.
I know, that's why I can't watch. If I become self-aware, it's over. Remain ignorant. Keep
fact.
swilling the soda.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll tell you this podcast is one thing. You just keep believing us. Oh shit! All right, I'm gonna go do something.
Yeah, me too.
I
Yeah.
might go. I think Joby wanted to stream video games today. I might stream video games.
Oh, the
buzzards
are circling, so.
So
Gotta go check your traps.
I should look into it, but you know, as soon as I research, like,
you need more snakes.
buzzard eating snakes. It's like I saw a video of exactly what I saw, and so I'm gonna figure
I
out.
think you're gonna want snake-eating buzzards, but
Yeah.
Buzzards have nightmares. That's what they do.
Yeah. Ah, the snakes have turned the tables.
A
I
snake.
wonder, I wonder what Samuel Jackson would say if he saw that.
I'm tired of all these motherfucking buzzards eating all these motherfucking snakes.
Snakes on a plane.
I saw this in my driveway.
Oh God, let's
All right.
let's never all of us ever do a Samuel Jackson impression again.
No. What's
All
in
right.
your wallet? Nothing. I'm broke. Send money. Thank you, Robert McFarland, for sending me weed money, by the way.
All right, we'll put that in there. Thanks for giving me a whole bunch of stuff to edit. I do pay Todd, so he'll earn his money. We can put that in there.
Yeah, no, I have a standing offer to fight Jeff Grant. He's a Trumpy, and I'll fight his big fat dumb cop.
Oh, I don't
ex-cop.
care. I don't really care about putting anybody's name in, but yeah, Jim Goad. That's he's good.
Tim
Yeah.
Gold.
Well, I'm
Tim
not worried
Gold.
about. I'm not worried about him. It's his followers. that
That's
are
what I mean.
dangerous.
I don't want anyone associating us with fucking.
How
him or
dare you steal from Jim Goad? He hates black people, and you stole from his puppy.
Quit saying his name.
This is after hours.
Fucking after party Andy.
How'd my
all right,
router
guys.
work? Yeah, all right.
Yeah, that was fine. It was fine, right?
I think
More or
so.
less.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
it only had that one cutout.
They must have cut off the
Yeah.
JWs.
And Shaylee, you're done with your 30 days. That was a
That's
good
it.
finish.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a finish.
Yeah.
It is
I
finished.
Oh, the
It
podcast
almost-
will be fine. By about the 26th day, I was just burnt from
Yeah, that's a long run, dude.
Yeah, every
Yeah.
day and stuff.
Yeah.
So a little lackluster for me, but
So,
Yeah.
so a little downtime from Doug isn't going to be a horrible thing for you.
he's been on the phone for not the phone. He's been on the computer for the last 2 days.
Yeah. Now that he's on
just
Skype.
absorbing news and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That maybe
Yeah.
that is the better way to do it. Just take 30 days off and then just do like 3 or 4 days where you just block out your schedule and then
Yeah.
just read all the crazy shit that happened. And then you're like, oh my God,
A
this
huge
is
download.
And
Oh,
our
Then you do it
huge,
again.
the huge takeaway from the podcast was that nothing really fucking happened in the
Nope.
last 30 days at all worth fucking talking about, or it was
It's
kind of
right
boring.
where we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alien-
you just
a
got
lot
a
of-
break from all this bullshit for 30 days.
It's both things. A million, like if you wanted to take it one way, you could go a million things happened and everything's, not like, oh, we have confirmed video of a UFO from a
We
fucking
hit all
guitar-
of the
We
million
hit
things.
everything.
Yeah.
But even if you do all that stuff at the end of the 30 days, you're still right where you were when you went in. Nothing ever moves the needle on it.
That
Like
did
all
not
this
at all.
crazy shit happens, but the needle never actually moves. You still live in this same garbage existence you lived in when you fucking quarantined yourself.
When I was in Death Valley, on the mescaline, it's like the fucking. I don't know, Chaley. I don't know if you were there, but I know
Yeah, I was
Becker.
there.
Yeah. All of us are standing there,
We had the
looking
RV.
out into the fucking desert. Morning coming on, and the mescaline was just ripping my head off all night.
yeah.
And then Doug and Becker dressed like a deviled egg, and they're staring ahead, and they're like, look at that. And I'm looking at it, and I couldn't look at it because it was like I saw mountains become non-mountains and then build back up, and I was seeing thousands and hundreds. It's like time meant nothing and stuff, and that's what it's like. A small block. Okay, yeah, aliens are here. Yeah, more people are dying of the coronavirus. Yeah, there's no end in sight. Yeah, fucking McConnell's appointed a bunch of judges. Yeah, it's like but it's like, who gives a shit? It's all fucking it's like they're so insignificant. As soon as we fucking blink, it'll all be gone. And but yeah, a week is really, a month is nothing. But what an eventful week! Alien ships,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys. I saw on Twitter this video of Trump saying that he knows things better than anybody,
Yeah.
And it was just like a compilation of things where he's like, I know weather better than anybody. I know ISIS better than the generals. I know it better than anybody. Just like one after another after another.
Yeah.
I could not believe I was bored with it, how long it was going on. I looked down. It was at 1 minute of 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's 2 fucking solid minutes of one right after another of him saying that he knows better than everybody at different things. It's fucking unreal. Unfucking real, you guys.
Do you want to understand Donald Trump's mindset all the time? Do a bunch of fucking drugs, cheat on your girlfriend, cheat on everything, have a bunch of people show up and accuse you of shit, and create fucking drama and trauma, and just fucking go with it and roll with it and keep it going. Fucking, I mean, no, he fucking creates such a circus and he fucking thrives in it, man. It's awesome for him.
So he's the real carny Illuminati.
Yeah. Yep. He makes it. Yeah. There we go.
And
we should have
out.
Yeah. Now we're really gone. Now the after party's over.
It's called Everything Donald Trump is an Expert in, according to him.
Yeah.
From Now This News.
It's like when I'm talking to the
Yes,
cops
that's
or
the
whatever,
one.
you
Now
start
this
saying,
is
"No,
news."
no, I'm coming back from something. I know I know a smart cookie." Or you just when you're full of shit, you say the stuff he says, and he says it all the time, and then people are like, "I believe him." Like, how can you believe
He's
somebody who's like a
confident.
big? Yeah.
2 minutes solid of him just saying,
Yeah.
"I blew my mind." No way he said that. I mean, I know
Yeah.
he said it. I remembered it, but
Remember in the Blues Brothers where Carrie Fisher's got the machine gun pointed at Belushi and comes up with a stream of bullshit? That's what he does. Like,
All of his excuses.
no,
why
I
he
know a lot of
wasn't
smart
there.
people. No, we're in good shape. The ventilators are on their way. Don't worry. People aren't dying. They're just
Anyone who
lying.
wants a test can get tested. Anyone
At
who
the
wants a
end.
test.
At the end, he's on his knees in the mud in front of her. And it's like, I swear to God.
Yeah. You don't hear a lot of these. One thing about these coronavirus crisis actors is they're committed. They'll follow that role all the way to the fucking morgue. None of this gunshot bullshit. Yeah.
That's a funny point. There aren't a lot of all the conspiracy things that you're hearing about. There's not a lot of here's more crisis actors doing the same fucking parts from the shootings. Like, what happened to the crisis actors? Are they all just quarantined and they're locked up and they can't get out to the protest to do their protest or whatever it is?
Yeah. It's a different. It's like daytime acting versus sitcom.
The soap opera actors aren't fucking. They don't hang out with the fucking Seinfelds.
Yeah, coronavirus is all daytime acting. You can't even detect it. Like, was that acting? No, that's real, I guess. Well, I don't know what's real, but that's cool because it's in flux. It's like mushrooms is the perfect time because reality is in shift, so drugs should be able to shift with it. Maybe I should start doing them.
Yeah.
More, I don't know. I just can't imagine doing drugs around here and having it be anything other than a bad corner, a dark tunnel.
You have a lot of triggers, Andy.
Oh, I know.
In that area at home.
Yeah, right or left, there's a bad tunnel.
Yeah.
Right or...
There's a mink down every fucking hallway.
Yeah.
The Andy Andrist video game would be great. Like, as Andy gets high and walks around his house, and there's fucking just corner. There's John Mink.
Hey, I'm gonna send you
a bunch of marbles on the floor.
Yeah, exactly right. Oh, you open one door, John playing the drums in there.
Hey, this is Larry.
Hey, Charlie, I got on the Twitch stream last night, and I was showing Mike the different pipes that dude sent me. I told him, hey, I got this cool thing. Right as the Twitch stream started, I was telling the Twitch stream about it, and I was telling him. All of a sudden, a dude popped up in the fucking chat, Hank, hey, I sent those.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I got to tell him thanks right there, too. So
does he work there?
He works there.
All
He
right,
said
cool.
he said Stanhope has been in there to buy cigarettes before.
Doug knew something about it too.
I told him, I said
Yeah.
that would make. I said he probably stayed near there one time because I said he asked me if about the address, and I gave him all the street names, so I figured something was up.
Hey.
Hey, what's up, fella?
Oh, hey.
They're on the screen got pushed up top.
We're on.
They're here. They can
If
see.
you
Don't look
want
up
to
there.
Say hi.
That's not it. No, no, that's not it. Look, see what I'm wearing in that picture? What I'm wearing now.
We just don't want Inman
He
popping
He looks
in.
like Doug looks like Travis Bickle right now.
They can hear you.
Oh,
He's a fucking taxi driver.
Come in and say hi.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, just stand right there. You can hear it.
Hey,
Right?
that's Shane.
Hey,
Hi, Shane Gillis.
Shane.
Shane.
We're doing issues with Shane.
Issues with Shane.
It'll
Awesome.
it'll never work.
Lou Holtz apologist.
Yes. What's there to apologize for? A national championship?
About Lou. We covered Lou Holtz last week. Jesus Christ, we put our pants on the same way.
How you like me now?
That might be offensive. Ah,
Now that my face is to you.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I got Lou. I can do Lou.
I thought you left. I saw a big gate
No,
sign off.
we were coming in to say goodbye to Chaley, but
Now we're
Uh-huh.
You eloping?
Well.
Just another one of Doug's spinning tops.
They're always tops.
Yeah. I know. I didn't understand how it worked back in middle school.
are you guys jealous? Are you guys jealous of me and Doug's
A
relationship?
little bit. A little
no.
bit.
Oh, no, I have a bleeding anus
They
as it
say-
is.
Shane, we've aged out, you know.
We're always
Yeah,
jealous
I'm
of
the
the
new
temporary
young
boy
pretty
toy
one.
at first.
You run out of ways of saying it's okay to have whiskey dick, It's fine. We've all run into the wall a time or two,
all right.
Why-
Thanks for letting us have a spot that James Inman will never have.